Hello everyone, it's Teacher Marianne here from HelloTeacherMarianne.com, and normally my videos are all about helping you teach ESL online. However, as you are all aware, we are in a very different situation right now. Schools across the nation have temporarily closed their doors in an attempt to flatten the curve and stop the spread of the coronavirus. If you have children and weren't already a homeschooler, chances are you are now, at least for a little while. Now, I'm a certified teacher who's taught in the public school, private school settings, homeschool settings. I'm a former educational consultant. Currently, I am an online ESL teacher, but I have homeschooled on and off for over 20 years. I began homeschooling other children before I even had children of my own. So I've done a lot. I've done so many different curriculums, teaching methods, routines, schedules, you name it, I've probably tried it. And I want to share with you some top tips that I've learned over the years. So from one homeschooling mom to perhaps a temporary homeschooling mom, let me offer you some peace of mind. Now, I know that each district and state has varying levels of expectations, and I know that homeschooling and schooling at home are two different things, but for the purpose of this conversation, I'm just going to use them interchangeably. Maybe your children have access to their schoolwork online. Maybe your child's school has weekly pickup times where you drop off their schoolwork and pick up schoolwork for the next week. Or maybe your child's district has given you a list of skills or ideas to implement during this time of quarantine or social distancing. Whatever the case may be, I want to offer you some tips to help ease the transition for you. Number one, it will be okay. Don't stress about this time. Keep it simple. Don't try to replicate what your child did in the public school system. You're a different teacher from your child's teacher. They're in a different situation. They're in a different setup. They're in a different classroom right now. Everything is different. So don't try to make home look like school. You have the liberty to do things at your own pace, at your own speed, in your own way. Number two, be flexible. What is true in public schools is not necessarily true at home. For instance, in the public school or private school, in the lower level, it's optimal to teach reading and math first thing in the morning. However, for instance, my little 5-year-old and I have been on a completely different schedule lately where he's not ready to do school until after lunch. Now, years ago, I would have never been okay with that. I would have, because I had that mindset, you have to do reading and math first. However, I'm following his cues. He would much rather go outside before it gets too hot and look at nature, watch the birds and listen to the birds and play with the dog and blow bubbles and all of that sort of thing. He's excited to get up and go do all of that. And then when he's gotten a lot of energy out already and he's ready to kind of sit still and he's got a full belly after lunch, then he's actually ready to do some work. Now, this is just my child and this phase may only last a few weeks, but we're really loving it and we're just embracing that right now. And really the same goes with your older students as well. They don't have to do the subjects that they always do first. Your older students may have a certain time frame. For instance, they have this chunk of work they have to get done this week. And so this is a great opportunity to go ahead and give them some control over their schedule. They can begin learning some great time management skills, which is wonderful and very much needed, as we all know as adults. This is a great skill to have. And so, maybe you give them some parameters, loose guidelines to help them set up some time management for their week. And, we'll get this much done every day, or I'll reach this mark by Wednesday, and then, just kind of give them some guidelines, but let them really plug in when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, where they're going to do it. This can be a fun time for your older students to just gain a little control over their schedule. Number three, go outside as much as possible. Get outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, feel the breeze. It recharges us and it rejuvenates us. And, after a little bit of outside time, we're ready to tackle something else. My next tip, I think this is number 4. Don't try to make school last 6 or 7 hours every day just because it lasts that long when they go to school. Usually what you can do in 6 or 7 hours at school, you can do in 2 or 3 at home. Tip number 5, No set curriculum? No problem. The internet is your friend. Our homeschool would look completely different without the internet. We depend on the internet a lot. My oldest does all of her school online. I'll link the curriculums that we use just in case you're interested. I'm just going to go ahead and give a plug for Easy Peasy Homeschool Online. It's an all-in-one homeschool curriculum online, and it is free. And they do accept donations, and it's a missionary family who has just changed their mission field to offer homeschooling to families who don't want to or cannot invest thousands of dollars into a curriculum every year. We actually switched to Easy Peasy in the middle of the year this year because we just were just kind of tired of the curriculum that we had been doing for several years. We also do teaching textbooks online, but there are also museums online. There are many great reading apps online. YouTube Kids has an entire educational channel. We completely utilize YouTube for homeschool in my younger one and my older one. The internet is your friend in homeschool. Tip number 6, spend this time learning something new, maybe a life skill that you wouldn't necessarily learn in the public or private school. Something like balancing a checkbook, changing a flat tire, writing in cursive, sewing. There's all sorts of things that aren't offered anymore in the school setting that you could take advantage of now. Growing a garden, all of that is school. Tip number 7, do not worry about them falling behind in school during this time. I think the main thing is for them to maintain what they've learned and read a lot. Just keep learning, keep reading, because even if they're not doing exactly what they did in school, they've got that prior knowledge back there of things they've been learning in school. So when they come across things in a book or online or on YouTube or whatever they're doing, it's going to help them make the connections in their minds. Tip number 8, don't be afraid to change what's not working. If you see that other people are doing something and you feel like you're supposed to be doing it that way and it's not working, don't do it. That's the freedom of doing school at home. Just change it. Do what works for your family. Tip number 9, when you see that your child is just done mentally, don't force something to be finished just so you can check it off the list. Often it just takes getting some time away from it, and then you can come back with a new set of eyes, so to speak, and figure it out or finish it and it not be such a big deal. We all know that it is so hard to force yourself to finish something that you don't feel like you're even grasping, or that's not working, or it's just difficult and you're not understanding it, you're not retaining anything, you're just doing it for the sake of saying I finished. When you see that your child is done, then let them walk away from it. It's the beauty of homeschooling. Okay guys, tip number 10, set up a good morning routine. This is huge. If we have a good morning routine and we follow it, then our entire day is just better. Things work better, they flow smoothly. Everybody knows this, whether you homeschool or you are going to school and work every day, that when you have a morning routine in place, it just sets the tone for the day. For us, morning routine is very simple. It's breakfast together, Bible study and prayer time together, and then we talk about our agenda for the day. What do we want to accomplish that day? How are we going to do this? And then that's pretty much it. And then we kind of go do our thing. Now, I used to try to cram so much into morning routine, poetry readings and literature, all kinds of fun, really great, valuable things. The list for morning time was becoming longer and longer. We were kind of starting to dread morning time. It was kind of becoming something that we had to get through, rather than morning time being a time of just connecting together, time for what we felt like was most important, just time to think through the day and kind of talk about what we're going to get accomplished that day. And now morning time is really kind of a time that we don't want to end. We just kind of linger over morning time a little while and then say, okay, well, we better get up and get started now. Tip number 11, get ready for the day. Don't have pajama day every day. You may have it once a week or a couple of times a month, but it just kind of invites an attitude of laziness into the atmosphere, and we don't want that. Tip number 12, be active. Go for walks. We love to go on nature walks. Just get out and be active, whatever that looks like for you. It will give you more energy. It will clear your mind. It's just good for everybody. Tip number 13, don't be afraid to institute some quiet time. Whether they take a nap or not, I have a friend that calls it room time. Everybody goes to their rooms for, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever you want it to be. No screen time, no movie, no TV, no phone. You may play quietly in your room with toys, or you may write in your journal, or you may read a book, but it's quiet time. Okay, next to last tip, find some things that you enjoy doing together. So I've already said my youngest and I love to be outside together. And then my oldest, she and I really like to watch historical dramas. So that's kind of our thing that we do together. It's kind of just mine and hers. It really helps us to talk about what events in history sparked this to happen, and how did these events affect this fictional plot, and what can we learn from history that's happening in the world right now. Just all of these kinds of discussions that can come out of watching historical fiction. These conversations are definitely educational. We all like to play games together. We like to do puzzles together. So, there's just a lot of things that you can enjoy together as a family, and it makes the time meaningful and valuable and enjoyable for everyone. My last tip is read often together. No matter the age of your child. If you've got a teenager, read together. My daughter and I recently read through Corrie ten Boom's The Hiding Place. Read a lot of faith-building books together, where I'll read a portion, she'll read a portion, and then of course I read to my younger child quite often too. I don't have a set time in place that we read together, but I just look for opportunities and say now would be a great time to read. Go grab some books and pile up on my bed. And that's normally how we do our reading. Just however it works for you, but you cannot ever underestimate the value of reading to your child and reading together. It is priceless, and there's lots of learning going on every time you read together. Okay, everybody, I hope that this video is helpful. I just wanted to share some tips, like I said, that I have found over the years that have really worked for me. And I would say the main thing is not to stress about what your homeschool looks like, and not to stress about what your child is or isn't learning. There is learning happening. No matter what, there is learning happening. So just with a little steering and guidance, your child can flourish in this time at home, and be ready to go back when schools open up, and just pick right back up where they left off. If anyone has any questions about homeschooling, I am more than happy to help and offer any insight that I can. You can always reach out to me at helloteachermarianne@gmail.com. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.